Today on Animal Outtakes,
This is absolutely amazing.
I'm amazed you're doing it.
So am I.
we're getting hands-on with some odd animals, from the scary scorpion to a fish that is a terrible swimmer. We'll take a look at some of the strange features of these animals and explore why that makes them unique.
Hi there. Yeah? Oh, who's pecking me back here? Okay. Hello and welcome back to Animal Outtakes. Can you imagine a bird that's legs are longer than its body? Or what about a fish that's a terrible swimmer? Mother Nature can be funny about the features and characteristics of some of the creatures in the animal kingdom. So today, we'll introduce you to a few odd animals that may have you scratching your head.
There are plenty of strange creatures living under the sea, but there's one that stands out among the rest: the seahorse.
These are called potbelly seahorses.
To get up close to these peculiar fish, we visited Mote Aquarium in Sarasota, Florida, where biologist Tanya Roos specializes in these animals.
We have a species here that we call the lined seahorse, and we actually work with these animals here at Mote Marine.
The seahorse is, in fact, a fish, although they don't look much like what we're used to seeing. There are over 40 different species of seahorse, ranging in size from as small as a pine nut to over a foot long. But don't let their small stature fool you. Seahorses are tough.
A lot of people think they're very delicate, passive animals. They're actually very efficient predators. So they are carnivores. They will eat a couple thousand shrimp every day. So they will sit, constantly be scanning, and they will be almost always looking for food, and they will always eat their live food. And they don't have any teeth, which is a cool fact that not a lot of people know. So they do rely almost exclusively on that snout. They use it a bit like a vacuum, and they will actually suck up their food like a vacuum. They have no teeth.
While the snout is certainly a distinct feature of the species, the seahorse's tail is just as unique.
Now, their tails are very intricate
Yes.
to their existence, actually, because
It
we're
is.
seeing them just hook on.
So seahorses use their tails a lot like a monkey. So it's prehensile, meaning it has a lot of musculature, and they get a lot of use out of it. They hold on to rocks, and they hold on to corals, they'll hold on to each other, they'll hold on to anything they can grab onto. And these guys are actually fairly poor swimmers. They have a very, very small fin on their back. It's called their dorsal fin. It's very small, and it doesn't really do a whole lot for them. So these guys use their tails to hold on to things, and they rely on their hitching ability and also their camouflage to actually maintain their survival.
Do they get speeds in their movements? Can they stay away from a lot of the predators?
They can. They can have short bursts of speed, nothing that they can sustain for a long time. So a good comparison would be a little bit like a cheetah, where they can have one quick burst to get away from something, but they're going to get tired pretty quick because their fins aren't that big, and they're really not adapted to swimming far distances or very fast for very long. So their main defense is going to be their camouflage.
Another unique characteristic about seahorses is how they mate.
What makes seahorses so cool is it's actually the fathers that carry the babies. So they do actually have a pouch on their belly. They have a very obvious pouch, and the males will actually hold all the babies in there, and they'll go through what we call a true male pregnancy. So they'll get unfertilized little babies from the mom, and then they'll have the babies. So they'll actually grow, and you can see them get bigger, and then you'll have a couple hundred little seahorses that just kind of swim out.
In the wild, many seahorses are monogamous, staying with one mate for a season, perhaps even several years. But it's not a lifelong companionship. However, for the time that they are together, it's quite a romance.
But they have a wonderful courtship period, don't they?
They do. So what's really cool about these guys is they will spend a lot of time dancing with each other. So you'll see the boys and the girls swim up into the tank, and they'll spin in circles, and they'll actually greet each other in the morning. So they will form some pairs. They will actually dance in their tank, and it's very cool to watch their courtship. It's very elaborate.
There's still a lot to learn about these unique fish. One species is listed as endangered, with 10 other varieties categorized as vulnerable. So little is known about more than 24 other species that we don't even know if they should be protected. That's why biologists like Tanya are making sure to breed the best of the best.
We actually work with a lot of zoos and aquariums throughout the country, and we work with them to give them our animals, and we call it surplus, and we work with them to establish genetic lines and keep track of these guys as they go everywhere.
Like chameleons, seahorses could change their color to blend into their surroundings. Some even can change their appearance to hide from potential predators.
So you can see this little guy has some spikes on his head.
Yes.
And the spikes are for enhanced camouflage, so they can change their color, and they can hunker down on a rock, they can grow some spikes over time on their head. We call those cirri. And they'll make them blend in, and hopefully no one will see them. So that's what they do. They sit and they wait and they hope nobody sees them as they swim by.
Unlike most other fish, seahorses have an exoskeleton. These hard, bony plates make this small fish relatively unappetizing to predators. It is believed that humans are the biggest threat to these sea creatures, with millions being harvested for use in traditional Chinese medicine as well as the pet trade. At Moat Aquarium, they are raising these fish and sharing them with other zoos and aquariums so people can see these unique animals up close without disturbing the wild population. Still ahead on Animal Outtakes.
We call them pink flamingos. But I'm right up close to them, and I see more orange coming out of them than pink.
We're checking out the Caribbean Flamingo and finding out what gives them their pink glow. But first,
Does he have a name?
He should. Let's name him.
I get my hands on a deadly creature and learn the true nature of these bugs.
For me, it started with one hit of sardines. Oh, sardines. That's where I learned to beg. It was easy to score free fish. I mean, hey, with this dolphin smile, yeah, it's illegal, but no one cares. I had a monkey on my back, man. I was jonesing for people food, hanging out under boats, dodging props and hooks, and doing dangerous stuff that I'm ashamed to admit. Look, I know that I can kick this if people would just stop feeding me.
For thousands of years, we've been humans' best friend. You've been through a lot, and we've been right there with you. A dog is part of the family, a confidant, and a friend who always knows how to get into your heart. So what happens to our beloved companions when we can no longer care for them? This is why we've created Dante's Den, an innovative, state-of-the-art facility that will provide care for up to 100 dogs.
Dante's Den is a community for joyful dogs.
Millions of Americans face uncertainty when planning for the future of beloved pets who may well outlive them. Dante's Den is a charitable organization, so in whatever capacity you can, please lend your support so that we may continue this most wonderful work.
Dante and I would like to thank you for watching and for also opening up your hearts to our wonderful community of joyful dogs.
Learn about the many ways you could become involved by visiting dantesden.org.
These little fish have no stomachs, so food passes through their digestive system quickly and inefficiently. In fact, seahorses have to be eating all the time. Adults will eat 30 to 50 pieces of food a day. Seahorse young, known as fry, eat a staggering 60 times that much, gobbling up nearly 3,000 shrimp and other small crustaceans.
What is their strongest sense? Is it the eyesight? Are they smelling? What
Their
is
eyesight
doing?
is actually very good, and their eyes will actually move independently, kind of like a chameleon. So both eyes can move in different directions at one time, and they do that because they're constantly scanning for food in the water column. So these guys will hold on to a plant or something, and they'll have those little eyes going all around, and then they'll see something swim by and they'll snap it up.
They use their snouts to probe into nooks and crannies searching for food. While their jaw is fused shut, they can make it bigger to feast on larger prey.
This is Scorpy the scorpion. And this is a giant emperor scorpion.
Back on dry land, we find our next strange critter, the scorpion. These arachnids can be found on 6 of the 7 continents, pretty much anywhere, except Antarctica. While most scorpions live in semi-arid climates, they have been found in mountainous regions as well. Our friend Scorpy here comes from a more traditional locale.
These guys are from Africa.
Okay.
Is where they're found, and you can find them in forest floors and even savannas. And usually, when you look for scorpions, where you look for most bugs under logs and things like that, and they can have even little burrows that they live into.
After watching Kevin handle our friend, I decided to give it a try.
You ready?
Well,
All right, here we go. So he's just gonna crawl is all he's gonna do. Oh, there you go.
okay, come on, he's going
Okay.
backwards.
All right, that's all you do. There you go. Just put your other hand flat.
I think he
You
knows
can-
he's got a novice here.
Actually, he seems really comfortable right now.
Well, isn't that something?
Yeah, and you
So
can.
now I'm the scorpion whisperer, right? These creatures carry themselves around on their 8 legs, but its large claws and distinctive tail with venom-injecting barb are probably its most recognizable features. Scorpions will use that to immobilize their prey, or as a defense mechanism when they feel threatened.
You can see the venom gland, and it does actually have a very sharp pointer on the end.
Yes, he does.
But most people say it just equates the same to about a bee sting, so it's nothing that'll hurt. And usually that's their last line of defense, because they don't want to use that venom if they don't have to. So usually it's a good pinch or two, and then if they feel really threatened, they'll start using the stingers.
Now, what is his strongest sense? Eyesight? Would you say?
I would say it's probably not eyesight, because typically they're found in dark areas and they even come out at night. Their sensing is through all those hairs. And kind of like a cat's whiskers, they get a lot of information from that. It's the same for these guys as well.
What part do they play in our ecosystem?
These guys clean up a lot of bugs for us. So actually, if you feel like you have a lot of bugs in your house, you can even get some scorpions to live in your house and go for it. We like to feed ours a lot of crickets. Some of their favorite food over in Africa is actually termites and termite mounds.
All joking aside, scorpions are efficient hunters, feasting on insects, spiders, and even small mice or lizards. And they don't need to drink water to survive.
All the water they need for their whole life, they just get from the insects that they eat. So they don't really even need to drink.
I held Scorpy for 10 minutes, and after settling in, he was comfortable and relaxed on my hand, proving that while we should be cautious around these creatures, we don't need to fear them.
The only way to make the scorpion happier right now is to give him a cricket.
There are more than 1,500 species of scorpions, and more than 70 different kinds can be found in the United States. Scorpions are arachnids in the same classification as spiders and mites and ticks, and have 4 sets of legs. In the wild, they live about 5 to 8 years. Scorpions are nocturnal and will hide during the day, usually under rocks, logs, or in cracks. They've even been known to dig burrows to escape the daytime heat. While all scorpions are equipped with venom, only a small fraction of the species has a poison that could be fatal to humans.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Critical Vet Care is guided by the belief that companion animals deserve state-of-the-art medical care and a kind and comforting environment. The courage of our patients, the loyalty of their human families, and the devotion of our referral veterinarians inspire our vision. It is sustained by the contributions of our compassionate, knowledgeable, and dedicated staff, and built upon a strong tradition of providing excellent health care for animals. To learn more, visit us online at www.criticalvetcare.com.
Something neat that I didn't know about scorpions till I got in the field is the mothers can have young and they live on their mother's back. These guys sometimes do carnivorize their kids, so they do eat the kids, but it's the kids that stay at home too long. So usually
That might be a practice that the humans could get into, yeah.
So usually it's the ones that are just hanging out too long, and I guess they gave them enough time to go.
Shove and then they don't go, right?
They came back, or they stayed, and then, oh, that's about it. Then mom has dinner of them. So that's one kind of unfriendly thing about scorpions.
Back at Sarasota Jungle Gardens, we find another odd animal, the Caribbean Flamingo, sometimes known as the American Flamingo. It is best recognized by its unique coloring. Their pinkish hue comes from their diet.
It's carotene is what it is. And it's like if a human eats carrots all their life, it gives them that weird, like, kind of orange color.
The flamingo eats a variety of tiny fish, plankton, algae, and other small organisms.
They're white when they're born, and they gain that pink coloration after a few years.
Once that transformation takes place, each bird's pigmentation is unique.
But I'm right up close to them, and I see more orange coming out of them than pink. The pink is there, but almost in a minor hue.
Yeah.
Is it an optical illusion?
No, there's quite a bit of orange involved in them, and reds, and a lot of different colors kind of create their overall appearance. But yes, they do have a lot of orange and reds and pinks and whites involved with their plumage.
Another distinctive feature of these birds is their long curved necks and curved beak. It's a feature that helps them at mealtime.
The way they eat is also very unusual. I think we're just so used to seeing a flamingo, we don't see how odd it is. But what they do is they stick their beaks in the water, and they actually hold their head upside down. And then they just filter water in and out of their beak. And that's how they find all their food to eat. And that's, of course, what gives them this great pigment, their pink color.
Sometimes the meal they're looking for isn't right near the surface, though. That's where their long neck and legs comes in.
What they do also when they eat, they like to stick their head at the bottom, because they do eat algae occasionally. And so they pull, and their microorganisms are living in the mud, so they stir up the mud. And they've also been known, one thing they do is they stomp their feet around, and they get kind of everything from the mud just churning around, and then they stick their beak in that, and they start sifting through that mud.
Those long legs are rather unique as well. They are usually between 30 and 50 inches long, depending upon the species, which is longer than the bird's body.
They're really kind of a funny-looking creature.
They definitely are.
You know, they have the wonderful long neck, and then they have those legs. The knees are halfway up, aren't they?
Those are actually their ankles.
Their ankles!
Yeah, which is why they look so weird when they bend them. To us, that looks very bizarre to bend forward like they do, but those are their ankles and not their knees.
As you can tell from the colony of flamingos at Jungle Gardens, these are very social birds. There's 36 living at the gardens, but larger colonies have been recorded. And on this day, love is in the air at the park. It's mating season, and that means it's time to impress the ladies.
But we've seen over the last month, we've seen them pair up, and they've started to make certain displays.
Two of the males started to get into it while we were talking.
Sorry, deep in their neck. Uh-oh.
There you go.
There's the guys going at it right now. So this is the neck fighting that we're seeing.
Flamingos mate for life, but the males still have to compete for the female's affection.
Are they going to be gentlemen and go to their mates, or are they going to fight for this?
Usually they fight it out.
Do they?
Yeah, we saw some cool behavior. Well, flamingo fighting. There's no death to flamingo matches here, but they'll tangle necks sometimes and kind of nip at each other. So there's a really neat, different battling going on, but in a flamingo type of way.
How many eggs do the females lay?
Generally only one.
And then what is the nesting time before we see a baby?
Usually about 30 days or so they stay on the nest. And then what happens is the babies all gather up, and then they create their own little group, and then they all stick together, and that helps keep they group up to keep the predators away, and then they'll grow up together.
These curious creatures live a charmed life at jungle gardens, safe from wild predators like alligators. But people are also making trouble for these beautiful but strange birds. While no species of flamingo is listed as endangered, habitat loss, egg collection, and pollution threaten to displace populations. While sometimes thought of as the unofficial mascot of Florida, there is only one area in southern Florida where you can find a colony of wild flamingo. They make their homes in tropical and subtropical regions, including the Caribbean, South America, Africa, and parts of the Middle East. The male flamingos are generally larger than the females. However, it's hard to tell the sexes apart just by looking at them. They like to hang out in estuaries or lagoons, where they have access to sandy soil to lay their eggs. Adult flamingos only weigh about 6 pounds fully grown. These birds stand between 3 and 5 feet tall, with their wings stretching out about 3 feet. Flamingos molt or shed their feathers, but they're not on a schedule. The process can happen every 6 months to once every 2 years, and it is related to that particular bird's breeding cycle. And don't expect to be able to keep one of those pretty pink feathers. Once molted, they lose their color.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
If taking your pet to the veterinarian creates conflicts in your busy schedule, Rosemary Vet may be a perfect solution. We are open 7 days a week, providing complete veterinary care during convenient evening and weekend hours to accommodate you and your pet. Rosemary Vet is located in downtown Sarasota in the trendy Rosemary District at 650 Central Avenue, Unit 2. To learn more, visit us at www.rosemaryvet.com.
Right now we have a male and female with us, and it's about that time of year, and they're talking about mating and looking to start making a nest. Hopefully we're going to see a lot of cool mating behaviors out of the ones behind us while they're out here. Hopefully not with us, but with each other. And when these guys do mate, they mate for life. So these two have been together for a long time.
And they recognize each other as being mates?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, usually during the non-breeding time of year, they all just kind of huddle in a cluster and hang out together. They're very social animals, but we've seen over the last month, we've seen them pair up. And they've started to make certain displays. One of the displays is called marching. And that, what do you want? And that's when they all start, they put their heads up and they look one direction and then the other direction really quick a couple times. And then they all just start walking in one certain direction and take off. It's pretty fun behavior to see.
That's it for this episode of Animal Outtakes. We hope that you've enjoyed learning about some of these strange animals and why their looks can sometimes aid in their survival.
Join us again next week for another outstanding animal adventure. We'll see you then.